Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about Kotlin for happy development. I'm Sazzad. I'm a senior software engineer at DSI, sponsor of today's event. So the presentation slides are available on GitHub, so you can check it out later if you want. Also, I occasionally make videos about different Java technologies and other technologies. Those are published on YouTube, so you can check that out. Maybe you can learn a thing or two from there. So what? Okay, so what is Kotlin? Kotlin is a statically typed programming language for JVM. It started in 2010 by JetBrains, the company behind the IntelliJ IDEA. So at that time, they needed a programming language for their tooling. They shop around other JVM languages like Scala and Ceylon, but none of them quite fit the bill, so they started writing their own programming language. So it started in 2010, but the first version of Kotlin was released in 2016, so it went through a lot of testing before it was first released, so you can expect to have a stable language. It is open source from day one under Apache 2 license, so you can use it in your project without any problem. It is Android friendly in a sense. It targets Java 6 runtime. So you can use it in your Android application without using any third-party library like lambda and other. It is 100% interoperable with Java. That means you can incrementally use this programming in your project. You don't need to completely start from beginning. So you can call any method from Kotlin to Java or Java to Kotlin. That's okay. It has a very easy ramp-up time. I'll show you some code in a minute, and you will probably understand all of this, because the syntax is very similar to Java, but it's more concise. It has very small runtime, unlike Ruby and other runtimes. It has like about 1 megabyte, actually less than 1 megabyte of runtime, so you can use it in your project without making it too heavy. So who is using this? These are some names, some big names. Other companies are also using it, but these are the names that looks good on the slide. So Google, Expedia, NBC News. This year at Google I/O, Google announced that they will be supporting Kotlin as their official language for Android development. Another great news, you can write a script for your build in Kotlin language. It's not fully released yet, it's still under development. It should be available soon. Also, Gradle suggests that all of the new plugin you write, you should write it in Kotlin. How can you use it? You can use it anywhere you are already using Java. You can use Ant, Maven, Gradle, Cobalt. Cobalt is another build tool like Gradle, but it's completely written in Kotlin. You can use your favorite IDE, in this case, IntelliJ IDEA, Android Studio, Eclipse, NetBeans. If you're not an IDE person, then you can directly use it in command line with Vim or Emacs. So this is a simple Java application that does nothing but just print hello world. But imagine the things you are doing just to print a single line, hello world. You have to create a file, main.java, within that create a class, main, within that public static void main, and then system out print lines. That's a lot of things just to print a hello world. So what is the alternative in Kotlin? It's just this. The main part, what you need a main method, and within that your argument, and print ln hello world. So that's it. Here, look at the few things that there is no class. So Kotlin supports global functions. So you don't need to create a specific file. You can create any file you want. So you can create any file you want, and within that create your method, and you can run it globally. Since it's a main method, Kotlin understands that it will be run at first. And inside there are some other stuff like the argument First of all, the fun keyword, it's a keyword in Kotlin. You use it to define that it's a function. Inside the argument, you can see the parameters is in the left and type is on the right. So this is the design decision they made. It has some benefits, you will see that in a minute. And for printing something, just println. You don't need to call all those system out print line. So this is again a simple POJO in Java person which has only two properties, ID and name. But to access these properties, just look at the things you need to do. You need to create a constructor, you need to do a getters and setters, and so on. So that's a lot of things just to access two property of a POJO classes. In Kotlin, it's just one line, your class person, and inside that var ID and var name. Don't worry about the var, I'll explain what this is in a minute. Again, it is often the case you don't just need the properties, you also need toString, hash code, and equals, stuff like that. So that is again like total about 40 lines of code for accessing only two properties. In Kotlin, you just add the data keyword at the beginning of the class, and you get all these functionalities. So val and var. There is two types of properties in Kotlin. One is var and one is val. Val is immutable. That means once the value is set to a val, you cannot change it. And if you are setting it as a var, then you can change it. So how can you use it? So here, val name equal to GOT, and next, if you are trying to modify this, name equal to IGI, then you get compilation error. Notice here, I haven't mentioned the type of name, which is a string. So Kotlin understands from your context that it's going to be a string. So creating object. Assuming we have a class like this person, to create an object, val person equal to person and your constructor parameters. Again, look at here that we are not defining our type, it understands from context, and also for creating a new object, you don't need to use the new keyword. You can also use named parameter, so you don't need to follow the sequence of var and val over here, first ID and then name, so you don't need to follow that. You can use name parameter, so you can put name first and then ID later if you're using name parameter. Default parameter, you can put default parameter to a constructor arguments or method arguments, you can do that. So here I have put default parameter for ID 0 and name empty string. Now you can use it, create an object just by using person. You are not sending any default parameters since default parameter is given. Obviously, since it's a var, immutable variable, so you can later change it. If it's a data class you are accessing, you can do a copy. You don't need to initialize all the things. Just call the copy method, and it will copy the existing person. Obviously, you can change the ID. So maybe there is like 10 properties of person. So you just need to change the ID and keep everything safe. So just change the ID like in the last time. Null safety is a very important features of Kotlin. So by default, you cannot send null value to a method or a constructor argument. Here is a simple method print person name, which takes an argument name and prints it. So if you are trying to send null to this method, it won't work. It will give you compilation error. So often we need null. Since we are using Java, null is like in our blood. We have to send null. So how do you do that? Since Kotlin is fully interoperable with Java, so how Kotlin solves it by adding a question mark. So when you put a question mark in front of the type, then you are saying to the compiler that this value is going to accept null parameters, null values. Now you can check properties of this person using again if person question mark dot name not equal to null, you can check it like this to check if name is null or not. But notice on the following line, you are calling again this print person name, but now here you are not putting that question mark again. Because Kotlin understand you already checked if it is null or not. That's why it came inside. So you don't need to do the checking again to call the following method. Of course, if you didn't check and directly call, that wouldn't be a successful call, because the print person name takes not nullable object, and you are sending nullable object. If you are using a safe operator question mark, in that case you have to say double hashtag to call this following method. So this is a simple function that takes two argument integer and returns the addition of that two numbers. We all have written this kind of code, but there are a lot of boilerplate. Think about the fact that if we are adding two numbers which are type integer, what is the result going to be? It is another integer. So why do we need to say this? Since we know this, a computer should be smart enough to know this as well. So how do we do that? You can write single line function like this, add numbers, number 1, number 2, without writing the return type and all the curly braces. You just put equal number 1 plus number 2. You can send unlimited number of values to a function using the keyword var. Then you can call this unlimited 1, 2, 3, and whatever number of amount of value you want to send. And then you can definitely loop through it or do whatever you want with that for numbering numbers. Now you can send multiple output from a function. There you can send like two argument using the keyword pair. If you need to send three argument, three output from a function, you use triple. If you need more than three, use a data class. Now here is a simple value list, which is a list of pair. In Java world, it's a list of a map. So look at the syntax: pair, Dhaka to Bangladesh, then Delhi to India. So normally the syntax for a map or pair is first pair keyword, within that your key and values. But you can shorten it using the following language, Delhi to two keyword inside these two values, Delhi to India, that also produces a map. It's an infix function. I will show that in a minute how that works. So it's a list. You can iterate over it, obviously. For item in list, print line item dot first, item dot second. But this is not a very readable. So what is item dot first? I mean, if someone doesn't know the value, he will be, what is it? What is first, what is last? Is there a third? It's second. What is third? Is there a third? So it's pretty confusing. So you can deconstruct a value like this for city and comma country in list, then it's much more readable to you now. Obviously, you can change the list name to list of city as countries. It becomes more readable. Extension function, another great feature of Kotlin. So you can extend any public classes in Kotlin. In this case, I'm extending the string class and adding a method hello. So that's for extending, you just put the class name dot your method name, and then inside that whatever you want, and then you can use it. So I'm using it like this, val name, and then I'm calling this extension function name dot hello. You can use directly with string quotation dot hello. Another extension function should equal. It checks if two string is same. So from string dot should equal another value that checks if value and the value is sent from the call. In this case, maybe a name, if it is same or not. And then you just return value equal to this. So we all have written this kind of code. And you can call it like this. This should equal this. But you can make it look even better by using infix notation in front of the function. So if you use infix, then you can call it like this. This should equal this, which is similar to what I have shown in the last slide, to Dhaka to Delhi to India. Higher order function. Higher order function is a function that takes a function or returns a function. You can use that in Kotlin as well. So this is a higher order function, which the first parameter, actually the only parameter, is a function. The function signature is it takes two integer argument and then returns the integer. So to call this function, you can create a function like this, mysum, which takes 2 arguments in integer and returns x plus y. And to call this function, you call it like this, higher order, within the parentheses, colon, colon, and the function name. So you don't need to do this if you want. You can use lambda expression over here. So higher order, given an input x comma y, give the output x plus y. So you can call it like this as well. So this opens up a lot of possibilities of writing DSLs. In this case, fun in using, I have created a function called using, which takes the first argument closable and then a action, which is a lambda function. So here inside, you can do a try-catch action, and in a finally block, you can say that object are closed. So we use this kind of closable object, for example, JDBC or file or something like that, where we need to close it at the end. So sometimes we forget, but if we are using DSL like this, so then there will be no chance that you are going to forget. It will be automatically closed, and you don't need to worry about that. Condition works same as Java. Same as Java, but you can also use condition as an expression. Here, condition test, we are using val result equal to if input greater than 100, then GT will be the value of result, otherwise LT will be the value of result, and then you can do something with that result value. Class inheritance, by default, Kotlin classes are final. That means you cannot inherit from it. Let's say we have created a class employee, and it has a vacation days as constructor argument, and it extending from the person class. So for extending, just put colon. For extending and implementing its syntax is same, just put comma, 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 and it will understand. If you are using multiple inheritance like this, it will give you compilation type error. Another class, contractor, who also extends from function. Now to check if a person has a vacation days, you can write a method like this, one valid vacation, who takes a person, and you can check if this person is an employee, then you can check if it has how many vacation days and do some calculation over that. But notice inside the if statement, we are not using any casting. So when we checked already if a person is an employee or not, it understands inside that it is definitely going to be a person, otherwise it wouldn't go inside the if statement. And there are many more features like this in Kotlin. It will take me a day or two maybe to explain all the features of it. So I'm stopping now, so saying whatever else Kotlin has to offer. So Tanko is another library by Kotlin. It's for your Android development. If you're using view layer in XML, we all are using it. So you can replace it with Kotlin code using this library. It opens up the possibility of reusing a code rather than saying the same thing over and over. Android extension, we have always, and any of you who are using developing in Android, you all have written this kind of code. Text view and find view ID, then cast it, and finally you can set some value or get some value from it. In Kotlin, you just call the ID, .set text or get text, whatever you want with that. So you don't need to specifically mention this is a text view, cast it, or whatever, just one line of code. All open plugin, as I have already mentioned, that Kotlin classes are by default final. So you need to extend it, you have to put open keyword. So all open plugin helps you on that. If you're using a Spring application, then you need some classes like the settings and beans to be open. So everywhere writing open is cumbersome. So in that case, you can use this plugin. It makes certain classes that have certain annotation open by default. So you don't need to explicitly say that. Spring Boot already supports from long ago actually. You can check out Kotlin as a programming language you want to use in Spring Boot if you want. So what's coming next? There are lots of things coming next, but I think these are the most exciting. Coroutine is a lightweight thread that not replaces, you can use without using Java thread. Java thread is very Java thread is very high on weight, but Kotlin is very lightweight. So imagine if you need to execute thousands threads at the same time. Depending on your machine, it will give you an stack overflow exception. But the same operation can be done in 14 without any problem. Java 9 support, so you already have all the things Java 8 has to offer in Kotlin current version. Java 9, when Java 9 is available completely, you will get all the Java 9 feature in Kotlin as well. Again, it targets the Java 6 runtime, so you can use all the newest feature without changing your JDK. Kotlin is going native, so it's going to directly compile down to your LLVM code, so you can directly communicate with your machine. Next step, so where do I go from here? You can go to kotlinlang.org. They have really good documentation. Hopefully you will understand everything over there. You can go to try.kotlin.org, so you don't need to do any setup. So directly go to try.kotlin.org. There you can use the interactive web IDE to learn Kotlin. Kotlin Koans is another interesting thing. You can learn Kotlin by following the interactive tutorial over there. Kotlin has a really good community. So as of last night, they have almost 11,000 in one channel, general. So if you have any question, you can definitely ask over there. If you have some discussion, you can do that over there. Obviously, you can ask a question on Stack Overflow as well. So that's all for now. Thank you.